François-Xavier Roth is one of today's leading conductors. He is the founder of the French Orchestra Les Siècles, the general music director of the City of Cologne, and the principal guest conductor of the London Symphony Orchestra. So I'm really pleased that he's with me today. Hello.
Hello, Rachel.
So let's start right at the very beginning. What did your parents do and where did you grow up?
I grew up in Paris, Montmartre, and my father is still an organist, very famous musician, Daniel Roth, and was at the time organist in the Sacré-Cœur Montmartre, after that in Saint-Sulpice, where he still plays. And I grew up in Paris. I'm a typical Parisian.
What does that mean?
I don't know, because people say very often, it's a cliché, we love Paris, but not the Parisians. I think that I was always in tune with the city, the vitality of Paris, and it's a city I used to love. Today is a little bit different. And not so many French were born in Paris, so it's why I say also I'm from Paris.
So with a father that's a musician, you must have got lots of musical memories, but can you pinpoint sort of the first memory that you have of realizing you're in a musical family and that there's this thing called music?
I think that it's later, when I was an adult and when I started to teach the flute, because I was a flutist, I realized that many things, it was hard to explain because music was always in my life. So when you have to formulate or to explain musical details, then suddenly, it's difficult because I was always surrounded by music. So in the body of my mother, I was already full of music because my father used to play a lot and different repertoire. I have memories of him playing the organ and me close to him, helping him sometimes, but also as a kid, as a baby maybe. I remember very precisely also when I first listened to a symphonic orchestra, which was in a church, in a Parisian church, and it was l'Orchestre de la Garde Républicaine, a famous French orchestra, and I remember exactly the sound of the strings. For me, orchestra was magic because the strings sound, it was like in, I don't know, in a movie or something very special. So these are my memories.
And did your dad have a big impact on your musical development?
Yes, but not forced. I was not forced to do music. I wanted to play music. It was a gentle accompaniment to the music. Also later, when I was a teenager, he didn't control. He had a certain distance, but with lots of good vibes.
So at what stage did you think, I want to do this for the rest of my life? I want to be a musician.
Always.
Really?
Always, but I wanted to be part of an orchestra because I played the flute, and I had a secret dream, which was conducting, but I didn't dare to think I would realize this dream because I thought, conductors, you have to be composer or at least to play the piano, to play the organ or what else. But I'm only a flutist, and I come from the orchestra musicians. But I always wanted to be a musician.
So what made your secret dream a reality?
Because at some point I thought, well, we live only once, and at least I have to try. So I was a professional flutist. I was, 26, 27. And I tried. So I was a professional musician, but I started to become, again, a student. And my meeting with the LSO made a lot to encourage this new initiative.
So I guess we've reached the Donatella Flick LSO conducting competition,
Yes.
which you entered and won
Yes.
in
2000.
2000. So tell us about that.
2000. It was the very first time I visited London. So I was 27 or 28, I don't remember. I thought I will stay for the whole days of the competition because I want to listen to the candidates in the final round. But I didn't think or dare to think I could be in final. And then, surprisingly, so I succeeded to go in the final round. I had to conduct Egmont Overture by Beethoven and the Firebird Suite by Stravinsky. So it's a marvelous memory.
Firebird with the LSO. That's quite a peak, isn't it? I mean, I always think of Stravinsky as being one of those composers that the LSO do particularly well. So that must have been quite daunting.
Yes, and it's a special moment because for sure they played as they can play amazingly well. But what was the most incredible aspect is the way they encouraged me. Because even in the rehearsals, you know, at the podium, you can hear some musicians talking. So they were very supportive. And after that, also second rehearsal, more words and gestures. And that is for sure, for a young conductor, is something absolutely amazing. So it's very important. And these also aspects were so new for me because I was very active in the French orchestras at the time. And in France, we don't cultivate this kind of attitude, which is very positive and very simple in a way that the musicians can address the conductor. After this competition, so it was a very also interesting phase because becoming the assistant of the orchestra and not having particularly loads of concerts to conduct, but being a really assistant. And that was for me amazing 2 years that I did here. Because I could meet conductors like, for sure, Sir Colin Davis, Pierre Boulez, the young Tony Papano at the time still, and being close to them and try to understand their art of rehearsing, doing concerts, the difference between how the orchestra reacted with the conductors. It was fascinating for me. It was 2 years of doing that. And then step by step, the orchestra proposed me to do more and to do things with them. And when I look at these years, I have to say it's very, very old-fashioned because it was a slow beginning. And it's the best for any conductors to take time and not to be exposed to top orchestras or even good orchestras too early. So I was very lucky also. And at the time in the LSO was a famous manager, Clive Gillinson, who was a cellist before in the orchestra. And also he gave me so good advices at the time. So it was lots of healthy and good advices.
I like that you say, early on in your career, you don't want to be exposed to great orchestras, whilst at the same time you're here at the LSO, with one of the greatest orchestras there is. So what a great training ground to be kind of held within the family of the LSO.
Being an apprentice conductor is very important because also you have to digest. Conducting is something so complex and so rich, and all the musicians they play in front of you, they expect so much. So they need to have somebody who knows how works an orchestra, who knows how the music itself works. And for all that, you need time. The timing was really good, and it's to do with Donatella Flick also competition at the time. It was really not so many concerts, and it was very good like that, just to open a door, a very big door, and then You build your way to become a conductor.
So, what is your musical philosophy or your mission as a conductor? Now you've become one, what's your mission?
It's not easy to reply, because what is fascinating in conducting, I feel, is not only doing the concerts or the performances. One aspect which is very exciting is to build what you program. Because you have, as a conductor, you have a responsibility. Nobody forces you or should force you to conduct that and that, but when you are a conductor in charge of a mission or a role in an orchestra, you decide. So one aspect of what I do is to decide in which direction I program. And this is a great responsibility. And more I do it, and more I feel anxious to do it right. If you, for example, do your job as a conductor, you have a repertoire which can be big, which can be very big, and then you go and travel with your repertoire. You have your suitcase with the scores, and you do all around almost the same things. Or you can decide to have a close contact to what is the music writing at the moment, or to even ask composer to write something for my orchestras, or to take a piece which has been written 10 years ago or 5 years ago and to program it, etc. So the combination with new music, old music, the shape of my programs, which opera I will decide to program, etc., is a big responsibility, but very important for me. And I said very often that I am a musician loving contemporary music from all the centuries. So this aspect of programming, very important, or deciding. And then, as music director, for example, in Cologne or with Les Siècles, or even with the LSO, what do we do in the city, in the community, for the people? This is something so crucial. And if we, conductors, don't play a role, who will? I try to use my strengths, my joy, because I'm somebody who likes also to live, and I go in the street, I live with the others, I'm not far from the society. To use these strengths to make music reach most of the people. Because one of my sadness is to attend the distance between what we do, or the contact with what we do, our music, and most of the people having absolutely no idea. And from experience, when people are exposed to the music can change their life.
It chimes very closely with the LSO's philosophy of the greatest music to the greatest number of people. It's very similar to that.
But you know, also I have to say, when I was assistant conductor here with the LSO, it was so beginning of the century, 2000, and the whole thing about LSO discovery, which was already for years started, for me, when I saw that for the first time, I was totally amazed, because you were, the LSO, so in advance to every other countries. And it inspired me a lot, I have to say. The energy of the LSO through the discovery, it was something really impressive, and is still.
You mentioned contemporary music,
Yes.
and you're very heavily involved with the Pannu scheme here. So can you tell me a little bit about what that entails?
The Pannu scheme is something I'm very proud of, because I started the scheme, And it's to do with young composers having the opportunity to be performed by the LSO in a workshop day. We play their music and we rehearse and we advise players in the orchestra, Colin Matthews, the great composer who is the mentor of the scheme. I can also address sometimes the composers. And it's something so amazing because you go inside of the kitchen of the orchestra, and there are audience, so you can see how the rehearsal go, how it improves. And also you go in the kitchen of the composers. I wouldn't miss that. So we do that every year, and it's always a highlight in my calendar because I love to be in contact with these composers. It's amazing.
How do you approach a new work with a new orchestra, be it a Pannu work or, the first time you've done a piece of Elgar or something like that? What's your approach?
My approach, I try that my approach, and it's the case, is the same for any kind of music. And this is the benefit of being in contact of new music. If, for example, I would conduct only music which has been written 100 years or 200 years ago, I wouldn't be the same musician. I'm the musician I am because I read music that has never been performed before. This attitude, this way of reading the music affects all the music I conduct. When I read a score which has been never performed, my role is for sure to hear without the orchestra the score and to make what the composer dreamt of or wanted to create possible. When I take a score by a composer who is dead, my eyes are the same. I have to make it with the same level of responsibility. When we say, you do lots of modern music, like, you're special. But I mean, when Haydn was performed, his musicians would play only modern music. Mm-hmm. But it's totally normal to live in our century and to be close to what the people write today. And once again, it affects in a very positive way all the other music I conduct.
Do you think having been an orchestral musician yourself also helps and feeds into the process?
Yes and no. Because yes, you know the experience of an orchestra inside, but no, because when you're in an orchestra, you're part of a group and you react as a group. When you're alone in front of the orchestra, you're not part of a group. And at beginning, I was disturbed when I started to conduct because I thought, but I belong to this community. And by the way, not anymore. Mm-hmm. Orchestras expect conductors to lead, to have an idea, to have a clear idea, maybe sometimes to rediscover works we played 1,000 times, and we are not anymore part of the group. But that said, I have to say that I have loads of friends in orchestras, and to start with in the LSO. We share things in concerts that are difficult to describe with words. This connection with the music and with these special moments, and I like to drink wine after the concert with many musicians of the orchestra. So
it's not so lonely.
No.
What do you like best, rehearsals or concerts?
I see the rehearsals process and the concert exactly like a chef. In the preparation, you can experience. You can put more salt or less crème. And then the dinner is something completely else. You're going to use the preparation, but the dinner is one time. And in music is the same. So we prepare, and most of the time when I prepare the orchestras, I don't fix the things. Most of the time I try to make the orchestra understand even more how it works and in which direction I would like to do. But then in the concerts should be like the first time. I love to rehearse, and I love to go inside, and to do what I call Google Earth. So extremely close and then extremely far. But then the concert is unique.
Let's move away from music for a second. Where do you live? Because you have a role here in London and one in Paris and one in Cologne.
I have an apartment with my family, my wife, in Paris. And we have a house in South France, Nîmes. And Nîmes is my new paradise, I have to say. It's a great city. It's a Roman city. And I have also, we're going to buy with my wife a house in North France, in Tourcoing, close to the Belgium, because I started a position in Tourcoing with my Orchestra Les Siècles, in a residency in the Atelier Lyrique de Tourcoing.
Wow.
And I live also in Cologne, and I go to the very same hotel every time I'm in London, so I feel also a bit at home.
So do you have that kind of life where you're, quite frequently at the airport and on a plane
and train?
Yeah.
Train is better than flying. I think before my generation, conductors flying to America, Australia, whatever, China, Japan, even for 1 week or one concert was totally normal. Today won't be possible anymore. And now I'm in front of decisions, for example, very pragmatical decisions to take. Do I want to do these concerts? And it's only to fly, 10 or 6 hours to do one concert. I don't want anymore. We have to be also green, we conductors.
And we orchestras. When you're on one of those trains going from London to Cologne,
yes,
are you studying scores, working really hard, or are you watching telly?
No, I watch. I can watch movies, but I study. I try to read, and I sleep. I love to sleep. I can sleep everywhere, and I need also to rest because I have a heavy schedule, so I have to rest.
You're lucky being able to sleep. That's very lucky. And if you do have a free day in London or France or Cologne, what do you do? What's your number one thing to do on a free day?
On an ideal free day, I think that I will start with my jogging, but I do that also when I work. So I jog every morning. And then ideal free day, I would use my time to visit the best exhibitions or the museum I could do. And I have to say that unfortunately, I can't do that so often. And when my wife is with me, she forces me. So I love that she's with me also, because she is a motor of taking time in the schedule and doing things like that. But yes, that would be the first priority, is to visit the exhibitions or the museum at the time.
So what's next?
Oh, it's if I can resume, I would say I try to do now the years I have to be on this earth, not that I will do all the projects I have in my head or the dreams until my death. And this is something not easy, because I want to do so much. I want to do opera by Lachenmann. I want to do Gurelieder by Schönberg. I want to to be more in contact also with education scheme all over. I want to help people with music. A big project that I have, which is to do with the benefit of music for people having Alzheimer or diseases like that. I discovered recently, 5 years ago, and I have to say, I discovered that through Pierre Boulez, and the experience of bringing music to him and feel really in his body the impact of the music, it was a shock for me. And since then, I want to develop what we could make for these special diseases and for these people to help them. And I think music can be something absolutely amazing in the brain of these people. So this is also an important aspect.
So, really tricky question. Who's your favorite French composer?
I can't choose. I can't choose. But if I was provocative, or if I want to be a promoter, I would say it's Boulez, because it's the one that people have to discover, maybe more and more today. So I would say that.
Okay, so last thing, my friends in the LSO would not let me get out of here if I didn't say this to you. And I don't know if we have to explain it, but this is how we're going to end. Nice to see you.
To see you, nice.
Should we explain it or not? Let's just leave it.
No, it's a very funny story.
Okay.
Because the first time I said that to the orchestra and they replied like that, oh, I thought it's a nice British or London tradition, but I have no idea about the TV broadcast.
Yeah. So you didn't know why they were saying
No,
it?
and one day they told me the story. But it's a tradition now between us, and I always say that to start the week.
So you say nice to see you, and they say,
To see
in
you
the
nice.
words of Bruce Forsyth, to see you nice. Thank you so much for talking to me.
Thank you, Rachel.
Thank you.
Et voilà!
Ta-da! I had to do nice to see you. I had to.